Everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and SKOL live at the 2-minute warning. And did the Vikings just get screwed royally with the lack of the DPI and then the lack of the taking off the penalty or the helmet penalty? We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. It's just because Kirk was hit as he threw the ball, he had released the ball. So that's what drives me crazy. But we'll talk about it next on Live at the 2-minute warning. Welcome to Vikings First and SKOL's Live at the 2-minute warning. Next. Hey, everybody, it's Dave here. We have Jonas all the way from Germany joining us today. Jonas, what are your thoughts so far as we wait the resumption of play?
It's kind of weird because if you would have told me that the Vikings would hang in there with the Chiefs until the very end, I probably would have been very satisfied and I would have signed that off. However, the Chiefs really invited the Vikings today to upset them, and the Vikings just didn't take advantage in a lot of situations. And it's the same story it was all season. The Vikings had their opportunities, the Vikings had some things going for them, and they just can't take advantage of it. And because of that, Patrick Mahomes is that good. At some point, he's gonna get his, and yeah, then it's gone.
Yep. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for us all. Now, the game isn't over yet. We still have 2 minutes. Vikings have no timeouts whatsoever. So we'll have to see how they deal with it. First, they've got to stop Kansas City, or this game will be over. Tweet is out, by the way. And, frustrating. And it's 3rd and 6.
If they convert, I think it's ball game because the Vikings have no timeouts.
Let's see. Snap, quick screen to the right to McKinnon. He stopped short. 4th down and about 2.5 yards. Yes, go for life. I think a lot of us agree with that the time management on this game has been poor. Some of the play calling has been as well. And I'm going to bring in Mr. Justin Day.
I don't really have an issue with the play calling. I think it was all right. There wasn't much where I would say this was a bad call. It was just the usage of those timeouts in the second half. It was abysmal. You can't that challenge was super unnecessary. I've seen
that was emotional, is what it was.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer did that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Vikings fans actually argue that call, but it was a good call. It was a catch.
Absolutely it was.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. The play was a very close play. And if they had called it incomplete, and if Reed had challenged it, they would have left it incomplete because there was not enough. I disagree with anybody who says after watching the replay they should have changed it. No, it was so close. But like you said, burning timeouts against Patrick Mahomes, no less. Your defense has given up 27 points. It's gotten you enough
Kirk
stops.
Drops back, throws one off the hands of Brandon Powell for an incomplete 2nd and 10. 1:02 left.
I'm surprised you're ahead of me, but that's fine. That 3 and out at the beginning of the first half, inexcusable.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. You threw to JJ on the 3rd down, but you're throwing it on the sidelines where it's easy to double cover him. And yeah,
And
we'll see how long or what's up with Jefferson. And
TJ Hawkinson catches it for 9.5 yards. We're about half yard shy from the first down. Come on, people, get up to the line.
Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, they're taking their sweet old time.
Kirk.
Come on, snap the ball.
Kirk.
There we go. Dropping back. Looking, steps up in the pocket. Goes deep over Powell's hands. Incomplete. 4th and 1, and the Vikings will obviously go for it.
I don't understand. 3rd and 1. Throw it to the sideline. That's a great defensive play.
It was a good defensive play. You got to give him that.
Because he dropped off the guy in the flat and timed it just right. Unless he combined him early in the game.
37 seconds left in the game. Vikings need half a yard to convert the first down and keep the drive alive. Cousins drops back, throws a short one to Powell. He catches it for the conversion, gains about 2 yards. It's now 29 seconds, 28, and counting down.
But he didn't get out of bounds. Dang it.
No, he didn't get out of bounds. Kirk spikes the ball, stops the clock.
Oh, you know to spike it this time, Kirk. I'm sorry. I'll let it go after that one. But, oh, my gosh.
Hey, it happens. We got 22 seconds.
If the Vikings lose, where do you put the blame? I already know where I'm putting the blame, but what about you guys?
Jonas?
What do you think, Jonas?
Man, it's really tough because the Vikings missed some opportunities
Bradbury
along the board.
Cousins drops. Cousins steps up. Cousins throws. Caught. But inbounds by Powell. Come on, get up to the line. Clock ticking, 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6. Spike. 5 seconds left on the game. Flag. I'm sure that's on the Vikings for illegal formation or something like that.
Yeah, then it's over.
No, they were offside. We'll take the 5 yards.
Defense was offsides.
Yeah, so we'll take 5 extra yards. Of course, we don't have JJ right now.
No, we don't.
But that'll take it to the 38. Now, let me ask you guys, do you take the Hail Mary now, or...
You've got to. You don't have enough time for 2 plays for 5 seconds.
It's 5 seconds. It's 5 seconds.
A smoke screen for 4 yards and out of bounds? Oh, Travis Kelce.
No.
It's not.
And by the way, Kirk was extremely close. Nah, he was behind. He was almost.
Yeah. As long as 1 foot's behind, it's a legal
Or the
pass.
ball, I think. Well, hope for a pass interference, if nothing else.
And Kirk's getting pressure. Kirk gets sacked. That's the ball game. Vikings lose, drop to 1-4. Kansas City holds on to its 2-touchdown lead. Give up 1 to finish 1 touchdown ahead, 27-20. Vikings fall to 1-4. Kansas City moves up to 4-1. And that is not how you start a season. As we mentioned earlier before, in this game, we had Justin Jefferson go out with a hamstring pull. That is not a good sign whatsoever, but we'll see how long it takes for him to recover. And CBS
hamstrings.
Denver
Hamstrings are super tricky, man.
Because if you come back too early, you'll just aggravate it, and it goes longer and longer.
Yeah, the thing is, you sometimes you don't even know, because you may not have structural damage, but there's still your hamstring injury, and therefore you can't really detect it, and it's just whether you feel right or not. But the thing is, with these types of injuries, you can't feel right, everything goes your way, and then you have one bad movement and it's re-aggravated and you're back out again. And that's the bad stuff with hamstring injuries, because it's really just trial and error. And if you do it wrong, it's yeah, you're out again.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt.
Dave, what you drinking?
I am drinking TX straight bourbon whiskey, which is very, very good. It's got a note of peanut brittle.
Again, I'm not into moral victories. And can you call this one a moral victory? Sure. You
Why?
can. Because
What's
they could have.
moral about it?
What's more, the moral victory is I said 38-28. I thought it was going to be more than one possession. It doesn't do you a hill beans good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, okay, congratulations. You didn't get destroyed by the Chiefs. Congratulations. Hang a banner.
They had the opportunity. I mean, when they're on, and they can beat anybody. But when they do stupid things, I thought some of the play calling was questionable. Other people disagree with me on that one. There was some, I can't stand all those screens, especially the ones where you have Addison as lead blocker. It doesn't make sense to me. When they ran the ball, I thought Madison was running decently. He was getting hard, tough yards. I didn't think Akers ran as well as he did last week. And then seeing
He had
Powell
a couple
in
nice
there.
runs, but you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we saw Powell in there prior to Jefferson's hurt hammy, which I found interesting. I think Hawkinson didn't have a good game. I think he probably only had one catch that I saw, but that was just what I saw. He had at least one in the second half that went through his hands. I hate that. Was it high and fast? Yes. I thought Kirk Cousins had a lot of zip on his ball today, which seemed a little bit unusual. He seemed juiced up for that. But
Yeah, I think I tweeted out during the fourth quarter. He had like 3 throws into the flat, which should be easy layups, that went high, and there's really no reason for that. And yes, some of the throws to Hawkinson were high too. And if you look at them individually, you would say, yeah, you don't have to come down with these every time. But if you're a highly paid tight end and you're paid to make tough catches, you're paid to make contested catches, because that's what tight ends should do. They're the security blanket if nothing else is open. And at some point, if you're a highly paid tight end, you gotta come down with some of these. And Hawkinson had like 3, I think, today, and you gotta catch one. At least one.
Yeah.
That's interesting. People are asking, should the fire sale start?
I was going to get to that, but let me address when I say, "Oh, great, a moral victory." I'm saying it in a sarcastic tone. So, thank you, Mary. Yeah, that was one I wanted to lose one more time. Mary and I had a bet of a case of Coors Light. I took the Chiefs, she took the Vikings, and well,
You'll get the case of Coors Light.
I'm gonna say this to Freddie's question.
Season isn't necessarily over yet.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You're losing to San Francisco. You
may lose to Chicago next week.
You may right. I was sitting on that. The way Justin Fields looks like he's figured something out, at the very least. And oh, by the way, we always struggle in Soldier Field. And oh, by the way, the Bears are coming off a mini bye because they had 3 extra days rest. By the way,
JJ
you're talking
about playing.
It most likely. And even before this game started, I said, oh, by the way, the Bears are now playing their first home game since the passing of the late, great Dick Butkus. And if you think they're not going to come out there to try to say, hey, win one for Dick Butkus, okay? And yes, to Terry's point, yeah, unfortunately, Kirk couldn't step into that fourth down throw to Addison because I believe it was an out and up. So Kirk is going to throw that to the pylon if he's able to. And unfortunately, he wasn't. And what's funny about it, last point here, the offensive line played really well, but for a couple of plays. And unfortunately, those couple of plays make the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jones, beautiful sack. And as Tony Romo said, that killed the drive. And you can't, as I've said on my Thursday show, my morning show today, and my preview show, you can't have missed drives. Not against Patrick Mahomes. Because I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if the Vikings had scored that touchdown, Patrick Mahomes is just going to go right down the field and get a field goal. You know he is. I don't care that we got a fourth down stop or third down stop. There was no urgency. They needed one first down, and it would have been game over after the 2-minute warning. But Patrick Mahomes would have absolutely. Well, I guess it depends on. No, I'm sorry. It depends on how much time was left. Let me change that just a little bit. But anyway.
Now, for the stats of the game, Kirk Cousins was 29 for 47, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, took 3 sacks, and a 92.9 rating. Any comments on Kirk Cousins' play today other than what we mentioned, that he seemed to be a little bit juiced and throwing high and on passes?
Jonas, you go first. I just had a rant, so...
I think overall he did all right in many ways. It wasn't a perfect game, and as I mentioned last week, we would have needed a perfect game to get this one because, again, the Chiefs were going to get theirs. This defense played as well as you can expect, and but the Chiefs, they are this good on offense. They were going to get their points, and the Vikings had to keep up. The Vikings had to be perfect on offense. That went out the window with the first play when Josh Oliver fumbled it, and Cousins again. His ball placement, I think, is a little bit shakier than it was in recent years. I don't know why that is, but I've noticed it in like the last 2 or 3 games that there were misses that he usually just don't have. And other than that, I think he did all right. He had some plays where he actually had to improvise and did well on that. He's just like the offensive line still struggles against blitz. That's apparently something that's not going to get fixed.
So, I don't know. Now let's talk about that first fumble, Oliver's fumble. And you're on mute. Was that fixable, that fumble? And I say no, it wasn't, because he had the helmet hit the ball. And I'm sorry, whoever you are, you're not holding on to that sucker.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those deals where, as I said on my Saturday pregame, if you had the turnovers you have in week 1, and then you don't turn the ball over at all for the next 3 games, and then you have this fumble here, that's one thing. But it's no longer possible to look at these individual turnovers without grouping them all together. You can't look at them and say, oh, well, this one here or that one there, it is a systemic problem at this point. At this point, and I said for week 1, the team was unprepared. They were prepared today. Absolutely. I don't agree with some of the play calls. Dave, I texted you when they kicked the second field goal. I said, I don't like that call. I didn't like either one of them, but I sure especially didn't like the second one. I'm like, you can't keep settling. You can't. Not against Patrick Mahomes. This guy is Michael Jordan. If you have an opportunity, as rare as it is, to knock Michael Jordan out,
take it.
You take it. You have to if you're wanting to win. I will say, I'm not going to say Kirk was perfect, but as much as I hate when Kirk stands say, well, there was 6 other problems before you talk about Kirk, this is the one game where I will say I am beyond bewildered and befuddled, and tell me what other phrase you want to use with Kevin O'Connell. I'm trying not to overreact and say I'm done with the guy, because I'm not saying that. But play calling, very questionable. Burning timeouts on defense, burning a timeout on a challenge that would rival Mike Zimmer's level of emotional challenges. And again, burning a timeout on defense. Why? Because the defense wasn't prepared. I know he's not the defensive coordinator, but he's the head coach. So all of these things that are just off, he's the head coach. So they all fall on him, whether it's the offense or the defense. I don't care. So biggest reason, number one for me, is Kevin O'Connell. And it's not even close.
Okay.
Defense did enough. If you told any one of us, any Viking fan around the world, if you had said the Kansas City Chiefs will end the game with 27 points, we would all take it. We would all take it. What's up, Tyler? I think you might be muted.
I think he is muted.
You know what? I just got to say this. The Vikings played a good game today. The fumble was obviously an embarrassment, but I thought they played Patrick Mahomes really well. Mahomes still had a couple throws where it's like, okay. The deep throw to Watson that he caught, that Bynum nearly had intercepted. If he takes one more step back and then jumps, that's an interception. That's a missed time by him. Great play. Great play by the Chiefs. And then the defensive pass interference that was arguable, that wasn't defensive pass interference, where Watson, you could argue that he kind of grabbed him a little bit. That's just a savvy veteran move. And it sucks for the Vikings, but it just kind of is what it is. They blitzed Patrick Mahomes 50% of the time, and it worked. They made him dink and dunk all game long and made him earn every yard. They kept him in the pocket almost the entire game and wouldn't let him do Superman things, because the brilliance of Patrick Mahomes is making you cover for 6 to 8 seconds, and then he can just take advantage of you with like, a little 5-yard throw across the middle to Travis Kelce, and then he gets 10 yards after the catch. So I thought they played a pretty good game. I thought this was Kirk's best game of the year when you combine his pocket presence, his decision-making, and look, his yards per attempt and stuff, they're not going to match how well he played because he was taking what the defense gave him, and there were some unfortunate drops and or missed catches, however you want to label them. There were a few by TJ Hawkinson today where he could have made the catch and he didn't. And you got to, the expectation is that he should make those catches. But right. I'm not unhappy with the game today. The only thing I'm unhappy about is they came away with a loss. They played well. They played well enough to win the football game. But I will say this, Kevin O'Connell's clock management in this game was really bad, and not having any timeouts at the end of the game killed him. It could have been the difference in the game because of where the Vikings were. They got down to the 40 and they had time for a Hail Mary, and that was it. They didn't have time for anything else. Like there should have been like another like 20-ish seconds on the clock, because they should have been able to have that one timeout, and they would have been able to stop the clock once when the Chiefs were trying to run it out. Like, just unfortunate there. We're going to have a lot more tomorrow, but I was overall happy with how they played. It just didn't result in a win.
No, I can't disagree.
I was extremely
your guy Ed Ingram was it? I think it was Ingram's guy that got the last play. But again, you're talking about a low percentage play that would work in the first place. Like you said, Cam Bynum mistimes his jump. Like you said, take one more step and then jump. And at the very least, he's knocking it down. But you still have to say, how in the heck does Patrick Mahomes, with two guys bearing down on him, keep running backwards and throw off his back foot for, what was it, 50? Well, I forget how many yards it was in the air. Doesn't really matter. It was just asinine. And by the way, to your point about Kirk Cousins, he played the last part of the fourth quarter, like last half of the fourth quarter, without Justin Jefferson. So keep that in mind too.
I will say, I thought he played relatively well without him. I thought he saw the field well. They obviously were, I'm not going to say they dumbed down the playbook, but they were calling different types of route concepts to try and get these guys open rather than just have like the JJ Super Show, where it was much more of a play calling chess match than, hey, I can trust my guy with good play calling to be able to do some of these things. And Drop Shot Jake in the comments, Wes Phillips needs to play call more. I disagree. Like, we can talk about the execution of the plays, but I think the play calling was really good. That Madison touchdown was a great use of space, and just it was very reminiscent of the same screen pass touchdown that he had against the Saints in London last year. Same spot on the field, same concept, and they really maneuvered well with the Chiefs and how they utilize space. Look, this was just a well-played football game, and we lost to the reigning Super Bowl champions. The only thing to be upset about is the fact that you got a loss and Justin Jefferson may miss a game or two with a hamstring injury. Other than that, like, it was a pretty good football game. Like, it was entertaining to watch. You never felt like the Vikings were out of it. And you held Mahomes and you prevented him from being Superman. Like, they just weren't able to figure out a way to win.
I sort of disagree. When we went down 2 touchdowns in the third and the offense only touched the ball 3 times for 3 plays, that had me worried because we knew we needed to come out of halftime and be fired up and be ready to drive the ball. And what did we do? 3 and out. Done, punt. We didn't see the ball until almost the fourth quarter. That was ridiculous. You can't play like that and expect to not get buried where you're playing catch-up ball. This was a game where you needed to trade points for points, punch for punch to have a chance to win it. And they gave that up in the third quarter, and they were trying their damnedest in the fourth quarter to come back and fell short, obviously. But if you wouldn't have come out and just laid an egg on that opening drive of the second half, this could have been a much different story, and we're celebrating. I'm sorry. I did not see as good a game as you did, Tyler, and I look forward to watching the All-22 as soon as it comes out so I can go down and look. I did agree with you. I think the offensive line, for the most part, played excessively well. I saw Ezra Cleveland gets absolutely spun around once, and I didn't see anything off of Ed. The few times I watched him, he was winning all his stuff. O'Neal got beat around the edge once
by Chris Jones. Hard to be mad about losing to Chris Jones.
And that was a solid holding. I have no problem with that. Your quarterback's going to get killed. You grab the son of a bitch and make sure he doesn't hit him. So I have no issue with that. But it wasn't perfection. Do I expect perfection? No. But I thought the line play was decent. I thought Madison's running was decent. I hated that he dropped that screen pass because most likely that would have been a touchdown. But that stuff happens, and Madison drops some of those. I hate all the screens we called, but I understand why we called some of those screens to slow down the rush. It's just not as pleasing as I wanted it to be. Now, that may be Dave wants, but it wasn't. And then on the defensive side, we lost Evans again. That's going to be interesting. And what was the final result on his injury? Wasn't it?
It's a
wasn't
leg injury.
it's like
I
a
don't think
knee
it's
or something.
I think it's a
Yeah.
knee
what it was
injury. They
specifically.
called it a knee injury, I think. Yeah, but actually, I think as much as it sucks for Caleb Evans, but I really like Mekhi Blackman, and I think
I agree.
uh, as long as they don't have more injuries to that room, because after that it gets really thin. But with Mekhi Blackman out there, I think they are fine.
For now.
Now, I did like seeing the pressure that Daniil Hunter and Marcus Davenport were creating. That was nice.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I thought we were going to get from Marcus Davenport. One of the things when you talk about regression is it can be positive as well. And Marcus Davenport had a top 10 pressure rate in the entire NFL last year at 17.6%. 17.6% of his pass rush reps were pressures. Pretty damn good. Now, if you don't always finish on those, there's a myriad of reasons for that, and it's not always his fault. And that is something that's going to see positive regression as you look at it, because it's going to be a net positive over the course of time, because the more you get home to the quarterback, the more opportunities you're going to have to get sacks, and it's just going to happen. So he has 2 sacks in 2 games. Arguably, he should have be credited with 3 sacks, because what DJ Wanham had was a Marcus Davenport sack. He just ended up cleaning up after Davenport did all that work, which is honestly
the cleanup man.
It's the
He
epitome
does
of
that all the time.
career. Yeah, it's
Yep.
DJ Wanham is the best edge rusher in the league when he's not blocked. That's what he is. He doesn't do well when he is blocked. So Davenport's been a great signing. Flores called a great game today. They made the Chiefs earn this, and they contained Mahomes and they pressured him. And most of his throws, and I'm going to take a look at some of like the in-depth metrics with like average depth of target and stuff. He wasn't throwing the ball down the field. He was throwing it short, and it was a lot of 2nd and 7, 3rd and 3. Like you made them drive down the field in short bursts, and they got a few long plays, but we're not talking about like classic Mahomes where they're getting like 20-yard chunks. They had to earn it. And you know what? If you lose, you lose. It just kind of is what it is. I hate it. It sucks. We're one game or like one loss away from really pivoting our entire focus to the NFL draft. But this team is much better than their record, and it just sucks. There's really no other way to put it. It sucks.
I want to circle back. Oh, you go ahead, Jonas.
Thing is, as much as we say that we contained Patrick Mahomes really well, I think once again, similarly to the Chargers game, we saw what an elite quarterback is going to give you. Yes, we contained Patrick Mahomes really well, and most of the time the defense really played as well as we could expect, but Patrick Mahomes still had his fair share of absolutely bogus plays that no other QB in this league does that consistently. And at some point, this isn't a fluke. And the thing that sets him apart, both the other QBs who are so good at improvising, is that he's also so good at playing inside the structure. He is so good at just taking what the defense is giving him, and he didn't panic. He didn't make any big mistakes due to the fact that the Vikings played him well. No, he just took what was there. He went down the field in small steps, but it was consistent. And if you have a QB who can do both, who can do those absolutely bogus plays and beat you over the top, but also play in structure that consistently, it's just very hard to beat. And yeah, it's today we saw once again what that kind of QB play is giving an offense, even if the defense is playing well.
Well, Patrick Mahomes was 31 for 41 for 281 yards, 3 yards shy of what Cousins did. and two TDs, and he took 2 sacks. So that's not a normal Mahomes day.
No. Circling back to whether this was fun to watch, I think if it wasn't the Vikings that just went toe-to-toe with the Chargers, I would absolutely agree with Tyler to say, wow, that was a fun game to watch. But to Dave's point, because it was our team and we're invested in our team, that's all well and good that it was a great game and an entertaining game, national TV. Yeah, but we lost. But like I said, Patrick Mahomes is Michael Jordan. There were plenty of teams that said, boy, we played Michael Jordan so well. He only had 27 points when he's averaging 37 points. Well, he still won. You know? So.
Yep. Jonas, you've got podcasts coming up this week over in Germany?
Yeah, probably. I don't know if I'll be in the review. Probably not, but I think I'm gonna be in the Bears preview. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm really interested in how the Bears are going to look because yes, this offense looked much better than in the first few weeks, but those defenses were Denver and the Commanders. And yeah, I don't think we have to talk much about that Denver defense. I mean, it's the defense that got 70 points hung on them by the Dolphins. It's the same defense that got, I think it was above 30. I think it was 31 by Zach Wilson today. Although most of it goes on the shoulders of Brees Hall, who saved my fantasy football team in one league. But yeah, that Broncos defense is really bad, and that Commanders defense is pretty bad too, although it should be based on the personal. But yeah, the Bears will need to prove it against better competition, and I'm very happy to say right now that the Vikings defense should at least be better than those two. And considering where this unit was last year, that's a win.
What's the name of your podcast over there?
It's Purple People Talk.
Oh, good. Justin, what have you got going on? I know you're going to go live tonight
Yes.
to talk about this game.
Me and Rap from Purple Pocket Podcast. Now, remind people, it is only on my channel tonight. We did simulcast the first couple of weeks to get it started, but now we're rotating every week. So tonight's episode, 8 p.m. Central, will just be on Purple and Gold for Days. Tomorrow, SKOL for Days, also at about 8:20 to 8:30, around halftime of the Monday Night Football game, give or take. Tuesday night at 6:30, where I'm guessing is going to be really fun between me and Dave from Minnesota Sports Talk. And then Thursday night during the halftime of the Thursday night game, I have the Thursday Talkers. And then we do it all over again.
But where can people catch the rest of your work on Vikings First and SKOL?
Well, they can catch that on YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast aggregator, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, please subscribe to the Vikings First and SKOL iTunes podcast feed, because we do have podcast only. I can't wait for Dave's episode with the other 3 knuckleheads from around the division. Oh boy, that's going to be interesting to say the least. So subscribe on both spots. Purple and Gold for Days, Vikings First and SKOL on YouTube, and Vikings First and SKOL on iTunes, Spotify. Subscribe everywhere, guys. We should know already.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, what have we got coming up tomorrow night? Heavy sigh.
Man, we're going to talk about this game, and I'm hoping I'll have the all 22 by then, and we can really break it down. If we don't, we may just We may just preview the Bears game and then do a full breakdown on Wednesday, because I said it on Twitter, and I'm kind of getting roasted for it. I thought this was Kirk's best game. I really did. The way he maneuvered the pocket, the way he was making confident decisions, and he was making throws that should have been caught that weren't. And this game, to me, is not on Kirk at all. I thought he played incredibly well, and I thought he was let down by a multitude of reasons, one of which was not play calling. I will not hear a bad play calling comment, because I thought the play calling was superb. The execution wasn't great, but it's just so frustrating, man. It's 1-4 for this team should at least be 2-3. You could make an argument this team could be undefeated. Like, that's where the frustration is. It's we're gonna have a lot more
on the ground twice today.
Yeah, they can't get out of their own way.
Recovered one, and it resulted in points, and that makes another one that results in points. Mm-hmm. So they've got to stop that. Darren and I talked about it yesterday on 2-0 Bloggers. Out of the 11 turnovers going into this game, 8 of them happened within the 35-yard line, which means scoring position. And so you figure if you minimum get 3 points out of those, that's 24 points we gave up. Yeah. It's got touchdowns, it's up to 56. And that doesn't include the points given the other team on the opposite side because of those turnovers. Mm-hmm. It's, if
and buts were candy and nuts, as Brad Childress would say.
But I want to encourage everybody tomorrow night, 6 p.m., live on the Vikings First and SKOL YouTube page. Come for the real Forno as Tyler gets to look at this game a little bit closer. I hopefully will too, and we'll have fun with you discussing it after all the heat and emotion from this day evaporates. Now, Twins are next. Hope they win. Go Twins. What do we say, gentlemen?
Well, before saying SKOL Vikings, it's draft season, baby. SKOL Vikings.
Well, it's draft season if you lose to the Bears. And even then, that only delays the inevitable right now. But yes, SKOL Twins. That way we don't go in Minnesota sports 0-4 after Michigan destroyed the Gophers yesterday. Mm-hmm. So yes, we need a victory here in Minnesota, if nothing else, so we don't go 0-4.
So, if we need a victory in Minnesota, we know we ain't going to get it.
Says the happy German. With that, SKOL Vikings. Let's win this game.
SKOL Vikings.
Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and share this episode with your friends and even your enemies. We'd love it. Thanks for watching Vikings First and SKOL. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and we appreciate each and every one of you. SKOL.